Hello and welcome to the animation video for week 15. It is Tuesday, and today what we're going to talk about is backgrounds. So on the class website here, I have some links for you guys to check out. Here is the first one, using grayscale to paint backgrounds as a way to determine lighting. Let me go ahead and open that link up, and let me scroll down. This is an article for you, and you can take a look at this. And you may be aware of the fact that colorists, when they're coloring things like characters or animation backgrounds, sometimes what they do is they actually paint their character in grayscale. And the reason they do it is to see how the lighting will look. So you can check out this article here. It talks about that, talks about the pros and cons of painting in grayscale. And here's an example. Like, here's an image that somebody's drawing where they're combining an elephant with a butterfly. They're using the butterfly to form the wings of the elephant. And what they've done, instead of just jumping right to color, they've done it in grayscale first. And this shows them where the light is hitting and where the dark is, and it'll give them a better idea when they're actually adding color of the different tones of color that they should put in that image. And here, it's showing you some different options that you have for using colors and things like that. Here's another example here with this cherry. You can see the difference between this cherry and this one. And this is, based on creating a grayscale version of it first. Same here with this sort of Asian looking dish. They created the grayscale version first, and then the color, I guess ramen is what that is. And here's some examples also. You can do grayscale and gray, or you could actually use a different color to do grayscale. Grayscale is just the term for, normally done in gray, but setting up different shades of a color to determine the lighting. So when you guys are creating characters that you're going to color, or you're creating backgrounds, you can first try creating a grayscale version of it, and that will help you with getting the proper lighting for your characters and backgrounds when you add the final color. So consider that. That's an option you might try out on a character or a background. We're talking about backgrounds today, so you could try that on a background for your animation. And then we have the next point here that I want to make, which is consider your background as a character in your story with a set personality. Look at these hand-painted animation backgrounds. Okay, so we're going to right-click on this. And this is it's an article called The Lost Art of Animation Backgrounds. And let me go ahead and increase the size of my browser here so we can see these. So, and I'll just scroll through these quickly because, obviously you have access to this link and can look at these on your own. But so here's a background for Peter Pan from 1953. You can see how beautifully done that is. Even, of all things, Scooby-Doo, the cartoon. Notice that, they would hand paint the background, and then anything that was animated would be drawn on top of that, like the drawbridge obviously is coming down. So I'll let you guys look through these Princess and the Frog on your own. But just to, just as a pure aesthetic thing, they're just gorgeous to look at. But it also clues you into the fact that hand-painted backgrounds, they're still being used today. Miyazaki is big on using beautiful watercolor backgrounds for his stuff. Of course, Disney, does a good job with that kind of thing. And of course, if you look at an image like this, you can see where if they did the grayscale version of this first, they would have a much easier time doing the lighting, coming off of this boat and the darkness around the edges, right? This picture almost forms what's called a vignette, which is where you have a dark shade around the edge, and then it gets lighter as it goes in. And the vignette is being formed by these sort of dark shapes around the edge. So take a look at all of these because they're just wonderful, and hopefully that will inspire you a little bit with your backgrounds. The next thing I wanted to do, many of you are aware of this, but I wanted to tell you about it if you're not, which is the website ArtStation. And this is a place where you can go and see some absolutely gorgeous backgrounds, but of course you're also going to see just gorgeous illustrations in general. So ArtStation has become sort of the default place for artists to put their portfolios. And you can go here and you can add a portfolio for free. It can be a little intimidating because look at the quality of stuff that you're up against here. But there's all kinds of things that you can do here. You can see other people's work. You can follow them. You can create your own portfolio, which is great. You might get some work from it. There's recruiters that look at this site all the time. You can sell things off of this site. You can look for jobs. They have art challenges. There's magazines and books. There's tutorials, and you can subscribe to things. So overall, just an amazing resource for people who are doing graphics. So check that out. Look around a little bit. You'll see some amazing backgrounds in here and a lot of other resources as well. Okay, so that's ArtStation. Now, I also wanted to clue you into a couple of websites here. The Adobe Color Wheel, which is online here. Let's see, Adobe Color Gradients. Use your photos. Okay, great. We'll come back to that. Okay, so this is the Adobe Color Wheel. And you may be aware of the fact that there's a lot of different sort of color schemes that you can apply to things. And they have all these crazy names like monochromatic and analogous and triad and complementary. And of course, this is the color wheel. It's done as a gradient. But if we go to something like complementary, complementary colors are colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. So, right here we have sort of a blue, and I mean, if it was pure blue, and you can move this, by the way, you click on it and just move it around. The more pure the blue gets, the more gold the complementary color gets, because of course, blue and gold are blue and yellow, whatever you want to call them, are complementary colors. And you can see all these other, shades of the color are here that you can pull out and get different versions of the color, right? So this is a really fun tool to use. And of course, down here, it shows you the hexadecimal version name of the color, which you can then use in Photoshop. You can just open the color picker and drop that color in to get that color. Now, there's all kinds of different color, as I said, color schemes here. Analogous, which means colors that are similar, and you can see that. Monochromatic, which is basically monochrome means one color, so everything's related to the same color. Triad, which is it's sort of like the next evolution from complementary, which means it forms a little, almost like a little triangle, and there's three colors that are related due to the fact that they're at sort of triangular points on the color wheel here. You can see 1, 2, 3. Complementary, of course, we talked about. Split complementary, this one's beyond me. I don't know where they do the math to split off to this other color. This similarly, double split complementary. I don't know if a bunch of scientists are sitting around on their lunch hour. They have extra time. They're like, I know, double split complementary. I don't know what that is. But anyway, it's this crazy assemblage here. Here's something that, obviously forms a square. Compound colors, shades, which now shades, of course, are just the same color with more light or dark added, and then any kind of custom thing that you want to make. So, for example, if you wanted to, let's say we wanted to get sort of a Halloween-y color going here, color scheme going here. So we might pick orange, and it would be interested, I was thinking like orange and black, right? But I guess this isn't really Halloween-y. Let's think of something else. Let's think of maybe spring or something like that. Let's see, what can I do that's sort of spring colors? Well, this isn't necessarily spring. This is, let me change my requirements to meet what I came up with. But let's say pastels. Oh, let's say I want to do pastels, right? So I switch this around, and now I've got these kind of pastel-y colors. So really, you can do all kinds of things here. You can extract gradients, extract themes. You can play a color game. All kinds of fun stuff with Adobe's color wheel here. It's at color.adobe.com. Okay, now the other link that I wanted to show you is the Color Lovers website. If you're ever trying to visit this website, Lovers is spelled, or color is spelled the British way with O-U-R. And what you can do is, this is a website where you can search for color palettes. So like, well, let's say we wanted to search for a pastel palette. We just type pastel in the search box there, and we get all kinds of pastel color palettes, right? And you know, we can click on them, and it'll take us to a blow up of that palette. Now, if you join this website, if you sign up for free and join the website, there's ways that you can download these palettes, and you can actually even open them in Adobe programs like Photoshop and Illustrator. Or sometimes what I do, you know, I'll just be honest here. Sometimes I'll just take a screenshot of this because I don't want to deal with the whole downloading thing. I'll just take a screenshot of this and open it in Photoshop and then just sample these colors. And then I've got my color palette, right? Um, they also have patterns and things you can search for in here. You can click this drop down menu and search for patterns and shapes. Some of the things like the patterns you have to actually pay for, but a lot of things like the palettes are free. So that's a good thing to look at. And you can type in any keywords here. You can type in blue and green or whatever, and you'll get all kinds of cool palettes from that, right? Okay, and this is the Color Lovers website. I really dig this website because of all the options they have available here, all the color palettes. Okay, now let's go ahead and use all this stuff that we just talked about for a very specific purpose. Let's have you guys download a background image and go ahead and color it with a using a palette that you get off of Color Lovers, or potentially a palette that you mix on the Adobe Color Wheel. So this is what I'm talking about. I'd like you to click on this link here, which is background, and copy that image. Go into Photoshop, and I've always got some weird image in here when we go into Photoshop. You know, after you copy it, if you just do File New, it'll create a file at that size, and then you can just paste it in. Okay. Now, the next thing I want you to do, I want you guys to take a shot at coloring this and pick a color palette, right? So we can look at this and we can think, oh, what kind of colors do I want? Do I want like scary colors, or do I want fall colors, or what do I want? So let's just go with the fall colors for now, right? So we're going to go over here. We're going to click on, I'm going back to Color Lovers. I'm going to type the word fall. And I'm going to get all these different palettes here, right? You can see they're all kind of fall palettes. And there's a bunch of them too. Like, look at this, 67 pages worth of them. So I'm not even remotely going to go through all of those. By the way, I'm converting this video down here, you may see, and if something pops up in just a second, because it's almost done, that's what that is. It's done with the video. But anyway, so now my task is to look at this and pick a palette that I like, right? And by the way, we're working in Photoshop today instead of Adobe Animate, because you can use programs like Photoshop to create backgrounds and then just import them into Animate. So, you know, once again, if I go look back at my image here, okay, I've got a house, I've got a tree, some grass, so I want some nature colors. I want, you know, a color for the car and the house, the sky, all that kind of stuff. You can see, by the way, that this is a sketch for a Ghost Bride that was used in Ghost Bride. Now, here's what I was talking about. This little crazy thing popped up here because it just finished the video. So, but we'll just ignore that for now. Let me make this tiny, super small, tiny, so we can get it out of the way. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to pick one of these palettes. Let's see. This one looks pretty nice. I like that one. I mean, there's so many. Your hardest thing is going to be like, well, which one do I pick? They're all so freaking cool. Yeah. So I'm just going to pick one so we don't waste a lot of time. So why not this one? This one looks kind of cool. Fuji Apple. Looks like it's got kind of a big range of colors, and so I kind of like that. So I'll click on it, and I'll just use my tried and true method of doing a screen capture of it. So on the Macintosh, that's Command-Shift-3, and then I think it's print screen on the PC. And then what I can do is, you know, in my case on the Macintosh, I can just go to my desktop and find the latest screenshot. And there's going to be a lot of them. Yep, I know. Somebody's got to clean that up. one of these days. Okay, so and then I find the one that was done today, and I open that up. And it's opening. It's just super slow. Okay, so there it is. And what I can do is I can just, in my case, I can just crop this image down to the actual palette itself. Okay. And then I can select all that, Command A, Command C to copy, and go to my image here, and just Command V to paste. And then I can do Edit, Transform, Scale. I'll hold down my Shift key and just grab the corner of this. Actually, if it's the latest version of Photoshop, you don't have to hold down your Shift key. You can just scale it. But anyway, I can take this. I can make it as small as I want. You can scale it down to whatever size you want, and then just kind of put it in the corner here. And then that's my little color palette. Now notice it makes a new layer there when you paste that in, right? And if I want, I can go ahead and name this palette or color palette or whatever. I can call this art. Now, the next thing that you can do in order to color this, if you want to color it in a way that doesn't mess with the art, is you can make a new layer on top of this one, and then you can apply a blending mode of multiply to it, which will allow you to color on the top layer, but still see the bottom artwork, and yet the two will be separate, so you can make changes in your color without messing up the artwork. So we can do that by clicking to create a new layer here, and we can name this color. And then what we do is we click on this drop-down menu and we change its blending mode to multiply. And what that means is anything that we paint on this top layer here, so I'm going to click on my eyedropper tool and get a color here like this green. I'm going to click on my paintbrush, and my paintbrush is really small, so I'm going to hit the key, the bracket key that's 2 to the right of the letter P, to make my paintbrush bigger. And then what I could do is, oops, I've got some kind of crazy brush in here. My apologies. Let me go back to my brushes and change this back to a normal brush. Let's see if it's normal yet. Okay, it is. Good. Okay, so there's my normal brush. And so what I can do is I can start painting with this, and you'll see that, this is painting on the color layer up here, but we're seeing this stuff down below, right? So, I can go in and I can, color all my grass in here. I'm not going to color the whole thing right now. I'll just kind of show you this. But this is a super fun exercise. It's like basically working in a coloring book. Super fun. Now for the house here, I might use this sort of orange color and see how that looks. And you can always sample things out. You could sample a couple of different colors on, your different objects here and see which ones you like. Like I could try the orange color, and then I could try like the dark red, and see which one I like. And of course you can even mix different shades of these colors if you want to. You're thereby expanding your color palette. Like let's say that I like this orange color, but I wanted it to be a little darker. So I could double click on the color picker here, and I could basically just click down lower to get a darker color, right? And then I could paint with that and see if I like it, right? So let's say that I do like it. Well, I could add a new color to my color palette here. I could go to my palette, and I'm just kind of faking this. I'm just kind of using my selection tool to drag out, a rectangle that's about the same size as that, putting it over here, and then just doing edit fill. It's going to fill it with a foreground color. And now there's my, darker orange, right? And so I could then say, okay, yeah, that's what I want to use. So I could go in and delete, all this other junk that I put in here color-wise. Oops, I'm on the wrong layer. Got to remember to go back to the color layer. Get rid of that. And then now I'm free to paint with my dark color here. And so I could go in and paint my whole house, right? Now, you're probably going to have to mix some of your own colors because, the color palette you're going to get from Color Lovers is only going to have, maybe half a dozen colors on it. You might need more variations of that. But what I'd like you to do is go ahead and color this image in and then upload your finished files to your Google Drive folder so I can post them up on the website and go to town, do anything you want. You can paint it wild and crazy colors, neon colors, really muted colors, fun colors, whatever floats your boat, right? But definitely go ahead and color the whole thing. It'd be great if you could leave your color palette on there so I could see what you did, and so we can share that with the class. And this will give you some good training in, both in coloring backgrounds and in picking color palettes and mixing colors. And also, like I said, it's just fun. It's basically like a digital coloring book. So that's what I'd like you guys to do today, and as well as continuing to work on your projects. If we go back here, let's see, to the class website, here. Okay, so other things that are here, we have a cognitive drawing exercise, which is right here. And that is, of course, more arms. We've got a student exaggeration exercise from Livia here you can check out. And of course, as always, you can post questions in the class forum or email them to me. I'm hoping you guys are done or nearly done with your storyboards and moved on to your final animations. Please work on those, and when you're done with them, put them in the Google Drive so I can share them with the class. Okay, and that's it for today. So once again, as a review, look over all these links, look at these articles about grayscale painting, and check out the cool animation backgrounds. Check out the ArtStation website, maybe sign up for a free account where you could eventually put your portfolio. Check out the Color Wheel and the Color Lovers website, and then download this background. Pick a color theme, a color palette, and go ahead and color it and upload it to your Google Drive. Okay, and that's it for today, and I will see you guys, or actually just talk to you again on Thursday. So have a good week.